Hi, everybody. A very good morning. Thanks for joining this Direct Banking Q2 Partner Training on this lovely Thursday sunny morning. My name is Nicholas. I have with me on the call Andre Ladenius, who will be taking care of the training today. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, enter them in the questions tab, and we will collect them and answer them near the end. The session's recording will be sent to you after we close the call. And please, we urge you to share your feedback on the short questionnaire you'll see after I close this call. In case you missed it or you want to forward it to your colleagues, we have other upcoming training sessions today for Connected 365 at 11:30. At 1 p.m. we have our latest offering, the Things IT Magento connector for BC, where our partner Things will be hosting an hour's training session. 2:15 to 3:15 we have Ship It 365, the implementation training that takes place. And we finish up the day at 3:30 this afternoon with an hour's training on one of our other latest offerings, the Approve It 365 solution to approve, sign, to send, sign, and approve, and store your quotes through DocuSign into BC. The link is below if you want to register or forward this to your colleagues. And that's it for me now, and then I will gladly pass on to Andre, if you're ready, Andre.
Hi, good morning. Let's see if we can assign the screen to me. Show my screen. Voila. Well, good morning. Today, my name is Andre, and today I'm going to introduce you a little bit with direct banking. In the direct banking app from idyn, we have the possibility to connect to two different providers, being Ponto and CoBase. And today I want to introduce to you let's see, that's a different screen. Let's just modify it a little bit. I have to change it on the other screen. Let's see if I can change it. Moment, please. Right, there we are. Sorry about that. It's a little bit. Yes, okay, there we are. Today I want to show you a little the integration with Ponto, because we can have, let's say, an account on Ponto. We can create an account on Ponto easily, and we can just, basically do it yourself to get integration with the Ponto solution. If you want to have, let's say, multiple bank payments in outside of Europe. We have also the provider CoBase, which is more international and not only European based for payment integrations on banks. So that's why we now use just Ponto, because it's just easy. We can have a sandbox and we can have, let's say, a good understanding how everything works. For the training topics for today, it's just about integration. First of all, I want to go to the Ponto side and set up the Ponto integration. How, what are the do's and don'ts on that part? If we have the setup available, we will go to the synchronization and which is possible and what is possible in Business Central, working with the idyn app. That involves also the introduction of working with the NL or the W1 version. We have something to do with setting up for batch processing and payment initiations. And then we go to the reconciliation process, the transaction archive, and also finally we do something with the exports, how it works and what we can do with it. There's a little bit of explanation about what the benefits are, of course. Just the integration with the banks, that's the main goal, the main benefit. No moving with imports and exports and different files. Is just directly creating your payment initiation and directly import your transaction just with API calls into Business Central and into your banking software. Of course, we have real-time insight in cash flow. With one push on the button, we can just synchronize your bank account information, the latest statements into Business Central. Of course, for both, they are PSD2 compliant, European standard. The payment initiation, what I've talked about, it's easily done from Business Central. Also, you can create a payment into portals itself. Next to it, we have some flexible synchronization possibilities with job queues. And of course, we have two flavors, the Ponto European-based and CoBase international-based. For now, I think it's best just to go start with Ponto and see what we can do and just do the basic integration explanation. When referring that if Ponto is a little bit different, I will just refer it in the call, but basically it's just a connection that is different between Ponto and CoBase, but all reconciliation and payment process and that's the one is basically the same. So let's move on, and I will slide now the other screen into place. Let's see if we can do that. Yes, that works. Great. Okay, what do we have installed right now? For this occasion with Ponto, we have the app management. It is controlling the license check and also controlling all endpoints with the different integration apps that we have. We have the direct banking, that's the base for the W1 version, and on this installation we have also the direct NL connector being the integration with Bank Hero and the Dutch localizations. So this is the first part with the integration, that you have those installed. And if it's installed, you will have the possibility to have a direct banking account over here. And to do the setup, we can do it with the setup wizard, stating your license, your job queue. So I'll explain a little bit later. We can create a job queue entry, which will take care of your imports of your transaction in a frequently based setup, which you prefer. Maybe once a day, maybe twice a day, maybe 6 times a day. Different with CoBase and Ponto. Ponto you can have multiple times a day. In CoBase is just one time transaction synchronization with the bank. Next to this, we have the input of the transaction, of course, but also the reconciliation. If you have this both in place, you have the reconciliation also done with the import, and then the next day or the next time that you have opened your Business Central, you have a journal ready, which can be checked if it's correct, and you can just post if all matching and applied records are correct. Okay, Ponto. Follow the link to create an account or login if you have already one. I do have already one account ready. So if we are going to integrate with Ponto, we need an account at Ponto. For this, I will go to Ponto right now. Before I go to the account, if you have, let's say, a customer which is asking about Ponto and which banks are provided by this solution, you can go to the Ponto site and search for the full EU reach to see if the bank is connected. So if I will look at, for instance, the Dutch banks, then we have banks available with different statuses that you see over here. Also imported, of course, with the setup that you are creating a little later on. Some banks are, let's say, available for account information. This is, let's say, the import of your transactions and having all your transactions from the bank in Ponto and from Ponto into Business Central. Payment initiation, that means that we can set a, let's say, payment run in Business Central. We can send this payment run to Ponto, and Ponto will handle, let's say, the process with the bank. So then that means that you can import your transaction and you can do the payments with Ponto. And the last one, bulk payments, is in place if you have payment initiation. And the bank supports also that you have bulk payments, so you have the several different vendors that you have to pay. And with one batch, it will be handled by Ponto and the bank. So you see the difference over here. So we have some banks is just account information, and some are still in, let's say, I think it's the best one, I guess. No, the most of the Dutch versions are not experimental, so that's good news at this moment. But you have also sometimes, oh here, some experimental types. So they are busy on some banks also. So that's a trial and error. If you want to try it, you can always try it with some of those banks. So that's important to know before you start with the customer if the bank is supported by Ponto, of course. So when supported, we can go and do the login, or we create an account, of course. I have an account, so I will just go into this account. I need my authenticator to authenticate myself. And in that account, normally, if you start up, you do not have integrations available. What does this mean with the integration is, let's say, the integration that you will create to have, let's say, the interaction and synchronization between Ponto and Business Central. In the integration, you will link your bank account. So I'm going to work with this integration, and I have 4 bank accounts integrated in this, let's say, this part of Ponto. So we have 4 bank accounts, but this can also be 4 different banks or the same bank, doesn't matter. What you do is, let's say in the integration itself, you just link the bank. You go back here, you can add your custom integration and you can choose a name for the integration and you can link a bank. You have also the possibility to your scopes, the account information and payment initiation, just back to the which. If you have also the PI and the AI available, you can choose the bottom one. Bear in mind, if you choose the bottom one, you are going to pay for each transaction you are going to send. So there is cost involved at that point if you create that integration. Also important, if you go with the payment initiation, you will be, let's say, checked following the PSD2 rules on laundry and how you call it, fraud. So that can be 24 to 48 hours before you can use it. When adding your bank accounts, you will go through the process and you will need to have your card available, and you will link the Ponto to your bank accounts in the bank interface. Well done. If it's ready, if you add the bank account, so let's say we'll do it in one little step. I will add the bank account, and I can just add the bank account, and then we get the client ID and the client secret IDs over here. Those two are very important for the integration. If you have those two, copy to a notepad or something, so because we will need them. If you close this page, you will always see the client ID and not the secret. You can regenerate, of course, the client secret ID. But in the first instance, you should be able to do it with the first generated ID. What else? So you now see that this is only account information. And this is, for instance, account information and payment initiation. So I'm going to use this one. So this is just for the testing. I will do it later. Just to see what we have right now, we have 4 bank accounts over here. So this is already in the integration available. So we'll see here also the client ID and the secret ID. If this is correct, you will have an active connection and you just can finish. And at that point, you will have a synchronization. And if you go to your direct banking accounts, you will have your accounts available. If not, just click on synchronize accounts and it will be added. So for instance, I have also those 4 accounts over here. Let's say I have a new bank account, only one left. So I will just confirm that this is also now part of this integration. So I have now 5 accounts linked. And at that point, I can just do a synchronize accounts. And it will be added to those 4 accounts that we have over here. So basically, if your synchronization in Ponto is correct, your connection is correct, it's only about synchronize the accounts, and you have your first step with the visit, let's say finished. Next step, we have to link this direct banking account to the bank account of Business Central. So for each different IBAN bank account, you should have the possibility to also have the bank account in place for the Business Central part. Let's see, good, yeah, I created this one. And to update the field name over here is different. So I now connected the direct banking account to the Spark bank account, and I also need a template for the batch. Let's see if I can, I just will pick one. Let's see. CoBase available, guys. Doesn't matter, I will just pick one. This is the link that I created right now. So the spaarrekening has the same email number as the direct banking account. I added a template to it, and the only thing left to do is to activate this account. And by activating, you will see that it also is placed bold right now. What's important on the settings for this one? On the right, we have the last transaction ID. It's still 0. If you look at the other one, you will see that there is a last transaction ID available, which means that if it's 0, you're in, let's say, the initial status. There are no imports done right now. If you do the import, it will remember the last transaction that you imported, and it will be in this field IDing your last import. Next to this, of course, we have information about the bank, we have the balances from the bank, and we have the payment tab. If you have only account information, this doesn't matter on payment, what to do. The only thing that's important is the duplicate end-to-end ID over here. Sometimes we have banks that, let's say, misuse the unique code for the end-to-end ID. And we have several imports that are having the same end-to-end text or ID or something like that, and then it's put in a separate, let's say, check table. So you have to manually interfere. If that is something that is frequently passing, we just do skip duplicate end-to-end ID. So it will go to your bank 0, and then you can check it over there if it's a duplicate one. But normally it should be okay. So this transaction end-to-end ID is for the duplicates, but I just put it on skip those, so this is not important. And then we have the transaction tab. Normally, if you do the first import of each import, it will be in this part. I will do the import right now. So this is the first import for this account. Check with your customer, of course, if you do the first import, how many weeks you want to go back in your transactions. If it's, let's say, it balanced yesterday, don't go back as soon as possible, because that doesn't make sense. Try to overlap a little bit with the 1 week or something to have certainly all transactions needed to have that balance in place for your direct banking account and your bank account itself. For now, I just will pick this one as far back as possible. Looking at the Ponto account, if I look here, if I open this one, it's not that much because it's sandbox info. We have some lines over here. That's it. It's not that much. I will do as far back as possible right now, and I think, I hope, no, I will not do that right now because I already did that. Normally it should be here, but I already did a pre-test. Now it's in my archive, so I will put it back. So what it just did with the input transactions, it just looked at the transaction that we found over here. Let's see why it's not showing this again. And so these transactions are now imported in Business Central. So this is a process that you can do with the job queue. So the import can be a few times a day, or once a day in the morning or in the night, depending on what the customer wants. The second part, we have above in the ribbon, the create reconciliation lines and bank giro journal. The create reconciliation lines is the part also done with the job queue. If that's done, you will not see anything over here, but you have the next day or the next time it runs already a bank giro journal. I will do it now manually, so I will just create the reconciliation lines. I'm not sure why this takes too long right now. See. So it's gone over here. I can open the bank giro journal or just in your role center. If it's bank giro journal available in your role center, just click on the bank giro journal and you will have journal in place. Let's see what we have. So we'll pick the last one. So this is really neat, of course, because everything is applied. Now, this is beautiful because it's sandbox environment. I can do whatever I want and whatever I like, of course. So for each customer, we have the IBAN available in the database. So it will find it on the IBAN number. It will find maybe on the account name being exactly the same. It will be difficult if you have the IBAN number not available. Also, if the account number, the account name is a little bit different, it will also be a little bit more difficult to get and catch the correct information to have the applied in place. But if we are talking about applying the accounts, we will do metadata matching. On the right, you see a little bit how we did the apply of the exact amount over here. So we can click on this one. You can see more information. How it did find the correct customer ledger entry. And if I go to the apply manual, you see again, we have some additional things over here for matching actions, and matchings is accepted right now. It's already done on a transaction amount. On your reference, it's a match, an exact amount, it's a match. So, so we did found several matches, and that's also to do with our metadata table. So we create additional lines when you post your purchase invoices or your sales invoices, and we have stored all the data about your reference and so on, external document and document number. If you have, let's say, payments terms and so on available, it will try to also use also the discounts on the payment discounts and find the correct transaction in the system. So this is working right now perfectly. It's, of course, in real life, this should not be that perfect. Of course, you will have always different kind of transactions that are not easy to link. For instance, I will go to this one and for more information about okay, so it's been processed. This is already processed, and if I go do it again with take a little bit longer. So you see now it looks a little bit different. We have now knowns, we have changed and so on available. This means that we have to ask, of course, the user to have some manual interference, how to find this one if you know it's, let's say, a vendor or a customer. Each just do the manual match with the customer or the vendor and find the correct one. Also, we see basically the information about some text to account mapping over here. I will not, let's say, explain a lot of it right now because we are just working in a new version of this and it will be changed in the next release. But account map to text to account is something that you can do in the standard. You can map, for instance, certain part of remittance information and map it to a GL account. So if you have, let's say, periodically, frequently the same cost or rent or other, let's say, transactions that is not linked to a vendor or a customer, you can link it to a GL account and it will be proposed on a credit or debit account or just a credit or just a debit account. And at that point, it will be just over here with presenting the correct GL account. You have nothing to do, you can just book. As well, it states change over here. But in this scenario, this is all correctly then mapped, so no problem to just post this one. So only what will be available for change for manual interference is just yeah, the first 5 that you see over here. So basically, this is something that you see at a customer side. If it's basically running the master matching entry data table, it will be, let's say, filled for each posting, and you will know, for instance, after 20, 30 days that this will be more and more being applied and changed than to be known. Basically, we have now done this with like this. Delete this one. Also, it's okay. Doesn't matter. So I deleted the transaction again, and if you delete them, they are back in the transaction archive, and you can process them. If the statement number is filled over here, or there is a posting already done on one of those transactions, you cannot set them to unprocessed again. It's only about the records in here that are not processed by the system. Before I will go to the payment initiation, because this was all account information, I'm just going to check one thing on this side for the new things that we have. It's not much in this Q2 version. It's more in the background that we just made some changes in, let's say, the reconciliations, and basically no big changes are happening at the moment. For instance, what we have seen, of course, is your kind of security. You can see in the indirect banking setup. We have the regex setup that you can set up in patterns. Always interesting. We have it over here for the available banks for ING and ABN AMRO. If you have a lot of remittance informations which are duplicates with, for instance, IBAN numbers or customer name and that so on, you can just try to skip those things and set up the regex over here. The import that I just did was on the NL localization. There's also then from Q1 we have also the W1 possibility to make payments and do the import via the reconciliation journals of the W1. Just to know, in this part we can do that setup. So if I can change this to W1, and then it will use our direct matching yes or no, or this is a standard W1. We can make two kinds of statement types, which is, let's say, the journal that we are going to use. The payment application and bank reconciliation is a different page, basically. And what's a little bit new, but it's enabled right now. We had some customers with a lot of customers in the database with no IBAN numbers and that's so on, and it took a long time to do the reconciliation because it was constantly searching for account numbers and counterpart references and going in, let's say, a reconciliation is about 1 to 2 hours. If you have a lot of customers and with not much references, just put those on enable and try to see if it improves its performance. For the W1, we'll go just back to the account and we'll close this one and we'll open it again. And now you see that we do not have, let's say, the bank zero, but the reconciliation journal. So this means that I can do it also if I try to put those back. And I can't, not everything I can't put back. Let's see, just a few. No, I still not work. It's already pushed on this side. I will just take the other one. This one. No, I cannot do that on that one. Just a few. I just picked one too. The same process. If you do the W1 version, we do the create reconciliation lines, and the difference is then we open the reconciliation journal from the base standard. We can open it. Then we have the standard. We have no confidence over here, so that's also something that you have to do and set up in the standard. So you try to find something, didn't find anything, so you have to do it on your own. But yeah, basically because this is, let's say, that's a little bit slow. Not matching information about, let's say, the transactions and the database, it will not find anything. So basically, it works like the same. It's a matching procedure what you have over here, and if everything matches, you can do the posting or you do a little bit of your manual overriding on this part. So that is payment information. And going back to this one, I think we need this one. Yes, if you are going to do the payment initiation, it's important to check some of the settings that you have. Payments enabled is one of those. That's the interface, of course, for Ponto. You have the AI and the PI. If the payment is enabled, it should be true over here. And if you want to use it, you have to specify if you want to use bulk payments, and you can do set up, let's say, a transaction count. And this means that if you, for instance, I put it on 5, it means that if we have 5 different vendors to pay, it will be 5 separate payment runs. Above 5, it will be bulked. So normally it should be, let's say 0 if you want it always or you want it not. So leave it blank or just 1. That's okay. You have the execution date. You can work with today or with the due date and so on, but be careful with this because it will override on your payment run if it's not correct. You can always do it on your proposal, do it, set it in the future date, but everything should be the same at the batch process. So you cannot, let's say, have different dates in the same batch. Now, what's it all about? Of course, if we go to purchase invoices, let's create a new one. So let's see, we have a bank account code, we have my test bankers transaction mode. Important if we create, let's say, publish the direct banking app, we have our own export protocol. So it's important to set that export protocol, of course, to our protocol in your transaction mode card. So we are going to use bank 140 over here. And we're just going to post this one. This is local demand. I will do it on simple for today. Today, posting and post. So I have a vendor ledger entry, just to be built in. I will do it away. Direct banking setup. So I will put it back on the NL version right now because I want to go to the telebanking process. When that is done, and then I should just go to telebanking. I think it was, I'll just do it on this one. So it created one line right now, 5 folder. I don't have an account holder name, so just put one in. This was let's see if it works. Process, yes. Lines are processed. And it should be over here. So this is just mainly telebanking. So nothing new about this. So if you use telebanking, you are just going to the proposal process. If you allowed to do it, of course, it will just create your payment file. So this is one. So this is a single payment. Of course, if it's a batch, you will have multiple with different IBAN numbers. The export there is the difference. This is our export protocol. If you look at here, you will see that we have a different set of checks. I just click OK, and I hope it will run through. It will say transmitted right now. So it's sent to payment provider with the API. I will close this and this part. Also important, go back to direct banking setup. We have payment authorization preference signed from Business Central or signed from payment providers. I did do a sign from Business Central. This means that we can start the signing process within Business Central itself. Otherwise, you have to go to the Ponto portal and there you can do the signing. But we now have it, let's say, in Business Central. I can open this page. We have for Fabricam one unsigned payment for bank 140. We can just start up the process over here. We sign payment. We are redirected to the Ponto portal, and the Ponto portal will redirect you to your own bank account. And you only have to do one assignment. And normally this should be just your bank. What you will see, you need your card to do the payment. And now the payment process of the bank is done, and in a few minutes later you will have bank 140. Now go back to this and open it again, and you will see that it's now accepted in customer profile. So this means that the bank has accepted the payment. And the 140 over here, and see that is 47 at the back. Let's see if we have this one. Oh, I could refresh to do it. Easy. So this is, let's say, the synchronization already between your account of the bank and Ponto. So it's processed. Going back in Business Central, normally it should be maybe the next day that the job queue will run, and it will do the import, of course. With the import, it will run and synchronize the accounts. It will be in Business Central. And of course, the reconciliation and opening the bank journal, we should have applied with the correct identification of the payment history run. And we can just do the posting to apply the vendorless entry with the bank. Same process, of course. I will not going to do it completely in that base. If we can go back to the direct banking setup. Again, on the W1, we have it also available, but then we are just going to process it via the payment journal. Working with the payment journal is a little bit simplified, of course, because this is standard W1. Same information available. No, I do not have anything in here. It will be just stating on all your lines that has to be paid, and the only thing what's needed, bank export, and it will also show you the export protocol of direct banking. It will be moved to your direct banking payments, and the process is exactly the same. If we're talking about CoBase, also you will see the same handling of all different parts of Business Central. The only thing will be different, of course, that this is not Ponto, but it will be CoBase as the link. So that is it for the payment initiation and the account information. I just shortly talked about map text to GL accounts. We are working right now with a new integration to have that more, let's say, configurable for the new version. So I think it's not a good idea to just learn you about how it works right now. But certainly in the next release and the next training update, we will go into that phase to see what we can do with that. Yeah, well, just to finish off, only one small thing. Let's see if I can change my page again from current slide. No, let's see. No, it's not correct. I will go over to one thing that is important. Why is it not coming? Yes. We have for now, let's say the Dutch version localized available. We have the W1 available, but of course there are a lot of let's say country-specific local solutions for Business Central, which cover, let's say, how to process your bank payments. Yeah, well, if you are interested in, let's say, make your own local connection and integration with our solution, we are welcome you to have this conversation with our sales, of course, to see if we can have, let's say, your own localized version in, for instance, France, Germany, or one of the countries of the European Union. Yeah, I think for now this is it. Thank you for listening, and I want to ask Nicolas to take over and see if there are any questions in the...
Thank you, André. Don't see any questions right now, so I'll close the call in a moment. If a question would jump to mind, please reach out to support@idyn.nl, and then we'll help you along your way. But for now, thanks for joining. Good luck, and let us know if we can help in any way. Thanks, André. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.